Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how to create a turntable for your 3D object to have a camera rotate around your object 360 degrees. And I'll also be showing you how to create a Playblast to preview your animation. So here I have one of my students' work that she made for an assignment. I'm going to be using it as an example. So first, let's make sure all on the same workspace. Click here and then click Modeling Standard, and then also reset current workspace, just so we can all have the same workspace. Let's create some grounds. So I'm gonna click on the plane right here. Then press R to scale the plane up. I'm just gonna scale it up like this. All right, and if we click on Arnold and render, it will be black. Why? Because we still haven't added any lights. So I'm just gonna add some lights real quick. Click Arnold, lights, and let's create an area light. I'm gonna use the 3 lights setup. So now we have our light here. Let's press W to move it up. All right. R to scale it up, and the light is emitting light this way, so I'm gonna rotate it. Press E to rotate, and you can hold J to snap the rotation. All right, now it's pointing down. But we still can't see any lights. Why? Because we need to adjust the light settings. So go to the attribute editor. And let's see. So first thing we need to do is disable normalize, which basically will will use the light size. So check this off, and now we can see some lights. We can increase the exposure. Okay, and then I'm going to move my light up more, like this, to create some soft shadows, and we can scale it up more, like this. All right, so in the viewport, I want to move around to adjust my light's rotation, but I want it to be in one place in the render view. So how do we do that? So to do that, we're going to create a new camera. So go to Panels, Perspective, a new camera. All right, so now we have a new camera. I'm going to put the new camera first to frame it. Click on here to frame the camera. Now we can see the margins. So I'm going to use this, position it like so. And to change the camera in the render view, you just go to Render, Camera, and choose the correct camera. All right, so I can, first let's rename our camera. So right now it's named Perspective 1. I'm gonna change the name to Camera 1. And if we go back to render and camera, we can't see our camera. Why? Because we need to update the render view. So click render and update full scene, or you can use Command U. Then go to render again and select your camera. Now you can see camera shape 1 is the one we created, and it will change your camera. And in the viewport, we can select the other camera. Okay, so see now if I move my viewport around, it will move in the render view. And then I can select the second camera to change, to be able to move freely in the viewport. All right, let's add 2 more lights. I'm going to click on my area light on here, or you can select it in the outliner. Then I'm going to press Command D or Control D to duplicate. And now we have two lights. I'm gonna move the second one to the side. Press E to rotate it, and you can hold J to snap the rotation. Right, I'm gonna move the light in here so it's emitting from the left. Okay. And I'm going to do Control D again to duplicate the light, and this time I'm gonna move it to the right. So it's pointing that way. I'm gonna press E to rotate it so it's pointing towards our house. Okay. And we can move it back like this and maybe increase the exposure so we can see our house clear. Maybe I'm gonna use 7 in the exposure. Okay, that looks better. And maybe move it back more. All right, just some basic lights. Now I have 3 lights, one at the top, one at the left, and one at the right of our house. So now I'm going to create a turntable. How do you do that? So first you need to place your camera correctly. So let's go back to camera 1, or any camera will work. And let's make sure, but before we frame our camera, I'm going to create a sphere. Okay, create a sphere. And I'm gonna use this sphere as our camera pivot. Okay. You need to place it in the center of the house to where you want your camera to rotate around. Okay. So now that your sphere is centered to your house, we can frame our camera like this. Make sure the whole house is composited correctly, like so. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay, make sure you can see your house clearly, and then in the outliner I can go back to camera 1 and make sure everything is like perfect. So I'm going to rotate. I'm gonna do 0 and 0 on rotation, so it's like perfect. And then in the translate X, I'm gonna do 0 again, so it's centered. And I can leave the Y and Z values the same. All right. So let's select our sphere that we created. It will be in the center of the house. I can rename it to camera pivot. And then to create a turntable around our object, it will be the object that you selected. So you can click on the sphere, make sure you're in object mode, and click on the sphere that we created and rename to camera pivot. We can now change the workspace, change the menus to animation. So change it from modeling to animation. And then in visualize, we can click visualize and create a turntable. Okay, it will be this right here, but you need to click on the square right here to be able to see the settings. So for the turntable, we can choose however many frames we want. So I'm gonna do 100. So that means the camera will rotate around our object in 100 frames. The higher this frame is, the slower the camera will be, but the longer it will take to render everything. And the less the frames are, the faster the camera will be, and the faster the render will finish. So I'm gonna do 100, so that's easy and simple to render. It won't harm your computer too much. So I'm gonna click turntable right here. And it looks like nothing happened, but it actually made a new camera for us. So if we click on panels, perspective, we can see a new camera in here. We can click on it. And if you want to see the animation that it created for us, we can go to the animation workspace. And this is the animation workspace. So I'm gonna close the outliner so we have a cleaner workspace. All right, so what you need to know is first we have two numbers. Here is the first frame and the second frame, the output frame, okay? The last frame, I mean. So it's 200 right now, so we can click and drag on here so this is the preview. We can click and drag on here to put it back to 200. And now if we move our time frame, you can click and drag in here to move the frames. So if you look at our animation, we now have a rotating 360 camera animation. So we can click play here to play our animation. And we can click again to pause. Obviously, it's going way too fast. To fix this, you right click and make sure the playback speed is real time. This will ensure that the playtime speed is accurate to your frame rate. So click on it. And if you press play now, it will be real time. So remember how we only created the turntable was 100 frames. So see, now we're on frame 1. Now the house will rotate and it will stop at 100 frames. Okay. So we can click 100 frames in here, click 100 and press enter to shorten the sequence range. And now if you press play, we have a nice camera animation. And again, you can pause at any frame and click Arnold and render, and it will render that frame for you. And you can click file and save image to save it, but we want an actual video. We don't want just a frame. So to render the video animation, what do? We change it from animation to rendering. Then you can click on render and render sequence. This will show up the render sequence. So before we render, you can see the camera quality right here. The resolution is 960 by 540. So before we render the full sequence, we need to change the camera quality. So click on the render settings right here. All right, click on it and you should have the render settings. So scroll down till you find image size, and you can change the resolution. So right now I have 540. If I click here, I can choose a different resolution. I can choose 1920 by 1080 HD. I can choose 720p. It depends on how fast your computer can render the animation. If your computer can't handle 1080 by 1920, then you can choose a lower resolution like 720p. Or if it still can't handle this, it takes too long, you can select 540. So the second thing we need to change is change the camera. So right now it's perspective. I'm going to change it to turntable camera 1. Next, I'm going to up and I'm going to click on frame animation. So right now it will only render a single frame. I want to render the full sequence from frame 1 to 100. So what I'm gonna do is click here and then select name hashtag .ext. So what does this mean? It basically means the name, so house, the name of your project, the frame number, so house frame 1, house frame 2, dot extension. This is the extension dot JPEG or PNG. All right, and then now we're gonna just write here the name of what we want our image sequence to be. So I'm just gonna call it anything like house. Here you can choose the image format. So later we're gonna be merging the image sequence in Premiere Pro. So you can either select EXR files or PNG. All right. EXR files have the highest quality. This is pretty much all you need to change. So here write the name of what you want your image sequence to be. You can select the format EXR or PNG. Choose name hashtag name frame dot extension to render the full range. And here you need to write the frame range. So I have it from frame 1 to 100. So we need to do frame 1 and change this to 100. Press enter, or you can click anywhere. So we have from frame 1 to frame 100. All right. And we can choose any quality we would like again. I'm gonna do 540 so I can render it faster. All right, but of course it will be a lower quality. I can click close. And now I can go to render and render sequence. Make sure the correct camera is selected, turntable camera 1. Let's click on this folder to choose the location of where we want the image sequence to save. So it's super important to create a new folder for your image sequence. So click on here to create a new folder and let's call it house render. Okay, double click on it and we can click select. All right, so you need to create a folder. You can't really just save it anywhere because it will render out 100 images, okay, which will create a mess. That's why you need to make a separate folder for these images. Now we can click select and you can leave it in the default settings. And click render and close. And as you can see, it will render out each frame from frame 1 to frame 100. The time will depend on how fast your computer is, and you can leave your computer be in a cool setting and leave it for like few minutes, for maybe an hour or half an hour. And if you need to pause your rendering, you can just press escape.
A few moments later.
Alright, my renders are finished rendering. Let's go look at them. So as you can see, it created 100 EXR images for us. Alright, and we can look at it here. So how do we make all of these into a video? We can use Premiere Pro or any other software you're comfortable, but I'm gonna use Premiere Pro for now. Let's create a new project. All right, we can name it anything in here, house video, and click create. let's make sure all on the same workspace. Go to Window and Workspaces and Editing. And then again, Window, Workspaces, and Reset to saved layout. So let's double click, or you can click Import Media to import media. And let's navigate to our EXR images. Alright, so as you can see, we have all of our images in here. Let's click on the first frame, which is house 0001. Let's click on it, and then in show options, make sure you click on image sequence. All right, this is super important. Click on image sequence so that Premiere Pro knows it's an image sequence. Click import. And now we have our image sequence in here. We can double click on it, and we can preview our video. And I know it looks a bit overexposed. Don't worry, we're gonna fix it in the color corrected later. So let's click and drag it into our sequence. Or you can also right click on it and click new sequence from clip, which will create a new sequence for us. All right, let's go to the last frame, and you can hold shift to snap. All right, so we get this black frame. Let's click on the left arrow to go to the left by one frame. All right, and now we can press mark out to select the range of the video. So click mark out, and we can play video from in and out and also loop it to preview our animation. And if you don't have these options, you can click on the plus button right here and click and drag the loop playback option in the options in here and press OK. So obviously it's a bit overexposed right now. So what we're gonna do is you can go to Window, Workspace, and go to Color to get a more visual look. And you get the color options in here. All right. You can click on basic correction and maybe reduce the exposure a little bit. Okay. Increase the contrast and play around with the settings till you find the settings that makes your render look better. Now I can just export this video. Okay, it still looks a bit sprightly. I'm gonna reduce the exposure. And EXR files actually don't work great with in Premiere Pro. So next time select BNG instead of EXR files. So in the render view, in the render settings, you can choose BNG instead of EXR files, since Premiere Pro doesn't work very well with EXR files. All right, now we can export our image sequence. Click File, and then let's go to Export and Export Media, or you can use Command M or Control M. For the format, choose H.264, and let's do a high bitrate, and you can select where you would like to save it. All right, and you can name it in here. Let's click export. All right, now we have our video animation in rendered. And you can loop if you're using a different previewing software, you can loop it and watch your animation forever. So now I'm going to show you how to create a Playblast. So what is a Playblast? Basically, it will screen record your viewport for you. from the frame range you would like. Okay, so how to make a Playblast? Basically, go to Windows. I think this works in any option here. You can click on Windows and scroll down to Playblast and click this box right here next to Playblast. So let's just adjust these settings. So click on Start End to set the start time, which is 1, and end time, which is frame 100. So type 100. And we can disable the view controls and show ornaments. Okay. And in format, choose AV Foundation, and encoding, choose H.264. And in the size, you can select from window or choose the same settings as the render settings, or you can use custom settings. So I'm going to write 1920 by 1080. I'm going to scale the resolution all the way up. This doesn't require any computer power at all. It's not the same thing as rendering. And you can disable, if you would like to save it, disable remove temporary files, save to files, and you can click browse to select where you would like to save it, and you can name it in here. And then you can click Playblast. And this should be very quick. So go to your file right here that we just created, click on it, and we can see our viewboard screen recording. So we can see these lines. How do we get rid of them? So first, check off the camera frames. We don't want that to be in our Playblast. And second, we want to hide these controls for now for the Playblast. So click on Show, Playblast Display, and let's click on here so I can have the window show up. Click on Overview, Override Viewboard. So these are all the things that will be shown in our Playblast. So we can click None. So we don't want any of these to show, except the polygons. We want the house to show. It's a polygons. So let's click this one. And now we can close the Playblast display settings. And if we try to go to Windows, Playblast again, and render it now, I'm gonna call it House 2 and Playblast. Okay, let's look at our video. Now we have a nice clean Playblast. And of course, you can turn on the lights and the textures to make it look however you would like. All right. And that's it for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.